The reason why the athlete participates in interviews is so that they give the world an update on how they felt about their own performance. And it's a good way of seeing how they feel when they win or lose a match. Another reason why the athletes at times do interviews is to get more people to purchase from the sponsors that they're getting sponsored by. The times when athletes normally do an interview is before they participate in the match to give fans their opinion on how the match is going to go and how they're feeling in the upcoming matches. Another time they participate in matches is after the match to ask them questions on how they feel about the end result of the match and what they feel about the opponents they went up against. Types of interviews. One type of interview is when the person does it live to get more of a reaction from the athlete before and after the match to get more of an honest reaction. Another sort of interview is pre-recorded as the person has practiced on what they're going to say, allowing them to go in more depth in the interview. Types of significant others. One significant other that the athlete will communicate with is the agent. The reason for this is because if the athlete isn't satisfied with the club, they'll have to communicate with the agent to ask them if they can leave the club to a new one or to communicate to the agent about their contract. Another significant other would be the team colleague, as they need to bond with the players in order to become a stronger team and discuss in set plays, ensuring that they know all their roles. This will reduce the chances of them getting into an argument with another, affecting the chemistry of the team. Both of the athletes will communicate verbally as it is in an interview that is done live, expecting a verbal response. Using open and closed questions, waiting for the response of the athlete in order to get a response to the question the athlete asked. Demonstration of non-verbal communication. Eye contact to show you're interested, looking at the other person eye to eye. Active listening, nodding your head continuously so you know that they're interested. The way you appear in front of an interview is important, as if you're looking scruffy, it may ruin your image. Demonstration of effective verbal communication, using formal language when communicating with the interviewer. Tone and clarity, the clearer you are, the more the person can understand you. The pace you're communicating at should be at a normal rate instead of a fast one so everyone understands you. And this will be beneficial as the interviewer will get the clear responses to evaluate later on when they're analysing it. One type of media is radio. You can speak informally and formally depending on what the subject is and how passionate you are about it. The person doesn't need to worry about their appearance in front of others, as no one is looking at them or seeing them on TV. And they can read off a script, which makes it easier when they're communicating with the whole world through a broadcast. An interview with a manager would be less formal as they are asked questions on the spot, which means they need to think of the answer back to that question on the spot. An example of this would be the person asking, "What did you think of the club?" or "How do you feel about the athlete's performance?" The tone in the interviewer's voice would be intense at the time because they want a response as quick as possible. The difference between the two is that on the radio you get more of a preparation of what you're going to answer and you know what you're going to talk about. But when you're interviewing a manager, they have no preparation, they just have to be prepared for any answer, for any question that they could receive. If an athlete stops participating in their sport, they will lose their skill and technique in the sport, which will reduce them from progressing and becoming better in their sport. They'll lose the motivation and give up, which will affect their playing time and the chemistry of others, and could result in them retiring from their sport because they lost the motivation and the will to play. Goal setting is a very important thing, as it motivates the athlete to work harder to reach that goal and find strategies to achieve the goal, as the goal is very important to achieve, no matter what it is. Furthermore, a SWOT analysis is when you analyze the athlete's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and tell them so they can work on them weaknesses and threats, and reduce the chances of them becoming a bad athlete. When they participate in the activity, which is basketball, they give 100% effort. They also show technique, skill, and accuracy when they're shooting and dribbling past the others when they participate in basketball. Their weaknesses, at times they forget the rules, which stops the game at times, as is not told clear enough. And their communication with players is not as good as it should be, as the communication should be good so they can create team chemistry between one another. Opportunities, they could, as they're good at switching directions, they could use that as an advantage of them learning how to dribble properly. Threats, bad experience with dribbling, could equal the defense finding it easier to stop them from carrying out good possession. Their short-term goal would be they want to improve their communication, as in communication in sports is important. And their medium-term goal would be to be able to communicate and keep possession with their teammates, as it's important to keep possession so they can concede a goal, no, so they can gain a goal. And their long-term goal would be to be able to dribble through players during a competitive match. Being able to dribble through players is an important thing in a match, as it will confuse the opponents and will also give them the confidence to play and try out the dribble more. The short-term goal the person wants to improve on is their communication, specifically the way they formally communicate with others. And the way this will be measured is every 2 weeks they will take a test to see the improvement of the way they communicate with others formally. So it will be used effectively in their training and in matches. Achievable, yes, as they will be practicing continuously until they know how to formally communicate for interviews and more. Realistically, yes, it's realistic because the goal can easily be achieved with hard work and practice. This will be done over a period of 6 weeks so they can use formal English or formal communication properly rather than speaking informally with their peers. Medium term would be to be able to communicate and keep possession with their teammates. Specifically, to be able to communicate and keep possession with their teammates is the specific goal. Measurable, yes, it will be measurable, as the person will be reviewed every 3 weeks on the way their team building has improved, which will make it more easier for the manager or the coach to make a lineup that will work chemistry-wise. Achievable, yes, as they will be training intensely to make the progress quicker. And yes, it's realistic, as all they need to do is train and commit to the goal, come back after school to train. And the time they will be doing it for is 8 weeks, so they can get to know one another better, to make the possession between them better when they're playing their sport. The long-term goal for the person is to be able to dribble through players in matches and in training. Specifically, to be able to use dribbling effectively in a match. That's their specific goal. Measurable, it will be measured during their matches and to see how effectively they have used their dribbling and how the dribbling that they've been taught on the training ground has been used in the matches. Yeah, it's achievable, as yes, it's achievable if they are pushed to the point they can reach their true potential of dribbling. Realistic, yes, it is. Yes, it's realistic, as dribbling can be easily done if the person actually tries on the technique of dribbling. And the time this will be done is for a period of 3 months, so they can properly use dribbling in their matches and with time. Specifically, they will be working on their communication. It will be measured in school. Teachers will be watching them and seeing how their communication has improved with their players. Achievable, yes, it's possible to achieve. Realistic, yes, the time length is realistic, as it is 3 to 6 weeks, which is enough time for them to get their communication improved. There'll be many more practical lessons for them to do it, as practical lessons is 3 times a week, which will allow them to use communication effectively each week until they become better with their communication with their players, shouting for their name, calling them continuously. The more they do this, the more they will make a habit of it, and they'll become better player. The method that will be used to eliminate the weakness is measurable, as they will have someone watching over them continuously every single practical lesson. There'll be 3 different teachers watching them, giving them feedback on how they can improve their communication. And the player would use that feedback to improve their communication. And once it reaches the 6th week, all the teachers will say if they prove that the player has improved on communication. If they haven't, then they'll spend another 6 weeks improving on that aspect. The strengths of a nutritionist is that they will have a diet prepared for you, ready for you to use daily, and it will always be food that is available for you. And they will always support you, giving you different methods of how to work on your diet, such as going gym, cutting down on what you eat, specifically junk food. Weaknesses of a nutritionist is that they have a variety of clients, which makes it harder for them to create a plan for them, and it could delay the client's improvement on their health. The opportunities, though, is that the nutritionists could use that time to develop their knowledge on other types of diets. And the threat is that they may find it hard to apply that knowledge, as they just learned this subject and the new diets. The short-term goal would be to gain knowledge on everything about nutrition. The medium-term goal would be to gain knowledge on and have every client with a schedule. Their long-term goal would be to use the knowledge gained to help an individual even more. Gaining knowledge on everything about nutrition will make it easier for them to make a diet for their client, as they could use that information to make the lifestyle of their client easier. And to gain knowledge and have every client with a schedule will be good, as the client will be provided with a schedule quicker, and they will become more organized when they have a client to communicate with or appointment. A short-term goal would be to gain knowledge on everything about nutrition, specifically to gain knowledge on how to explain the nutrition side to others. Measurable, yes, it will be done for a period of 3 to 4 weeks, and it will be measured by the way people receive the information and how much they can say to others. Achievable, yes, it's achievable, as the person just needs to revise continuously and get the information in their head and make sure they know every single fact about nutrition. Realistic, yes, as the commitment is needed so they can get the information in their head. And the time it will be done is for 3 to 4 weeks. Medium-term goal would be to gain knowledge and have every client with a schedule. The specific goal is to be prepared for each client. Measurable would be done by testing them on their knowledge on nutrition every 2 weeks, so their memory is refreshed, and so they have time to remember each thing they have been taught within them 2 weeks. Achievable, yes, as they just need to practice and revise until they have the information done and dusted and know it off by heart without looking at a book or their notes. And realistic, yes, as every person has a capability of having all this knowledge in their head. It's just a matter of commitment. And time, yes, they have 6 weeks to learn and to gain knowledge on the subject. A long-term goal is to use knowledge gained to help an individual even more. Specifically to use that knowledge to increase another person's knowledge on the subject. Measurable, it will be done by recording and asking the individual what they know and remember about everything they've been taught within them 8 weeks. Time, it will be done for a period of 8 weeks, as I already said. Achievable, yes, as you can see how much info they're taking in on the time and in their recording, and how effectively you've been telling and explaining what you've been teaching them. And yes, it's realistic. But the university course required for their improvement would be sport and exercise science, as it mainly talks about nutrition, and the cost will amount to £9,250, and the grades needed for this would be DDD. The reason why they'll need this university course is because it mainly focuses on nutrition, the body, and how the body needs to adapt, and the requirements for it to remain healthy for before matches, after matches, training, various factors. So this is the reason why they need this university course. There's others, of course, but specifically this one would help them with their improvement on the subject and in their career as a nutritionist.